Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Jason here. Today I'm doing a review for you. I'm going to be talking about Heroes by Joe Abercrombie. This is, I guess, book 5 in the First Law series. I read the First Law trilogy, and that obviously is like its own thing. That's like a chunk, and it's all one story, the first 3 books. Then the second set of books, they're considered standalone novels. And yeah, you could read them. They're each their own like story, but I think you'd really be missing a lot if you didn't read them. One, after if you haven't already read the First Law trilogy, you'd be missing a lot of the context with certain characters. And then secondly, this is the second one of the 3 that I've read, and there's a lot of stuff in this book that references things that happened in Best Served Cold, which is another one of the standalone novels. And I think so. If you haven't read that one, this one would lose some of its luster as well. So I think they do need to be read kind of in the order that they were published. So yeah, I mean, can you pick this book up and just read it without having to read any of the other First Law stuff? Yeah, but I wouldn't recommend it. Because yeah, for example, there's characters in this book that were in the First Law trilogy. Most of them were kind of like secondary characters in that become like kind of main characters in this. There's characters that are from Best Served Cold in this. There are events from Best Served Cold that are talked about and hinted at and sort of spoiled in this. So I would say you should like I said, you should probably read the books in the order that they came out. That being said, though, this book was great. I really, really enjoyed it. Basically, what this is about is it's a very focused war fantasy about one battle between the Union and the North, and it takes place in this little, I don't know, river valley area on this one little hill called the Heroes. It takes place over the course of 3 days, and it's a very bloody battle. Both sides, are fighting for this hill. It's told from multiple point of views. There's point of views from both sides that you get to see the battle from, which is great. And some of the main characters, Bremer Dan Gorst makes a pretty prominent appearance in this. He was one of those characters that I was talking about, like a sort of secondary character in the original First Law trilogy, and he becomes one of the main point of view characters in this book. Also, Carl Shivers is back. We've got Calder, who is the son of Bethid, who isn't really in the First Law that much. He's talked about, and he's a character, but he's not really active in that story. But he is a main character in this. Baez is back, and he's a real piece of shit. Like I said, there's a lot of characters from the series before that you will recognize, which is cool. It's nice to see those connections. It's very fun, and it kind of ties the whole series together. It's very neat. This book is great because, in typical Joe Abercrombie fashion, there aren't really good guys versus bad guys. Like, there's no side that you're rooting for, right? You see what's happening on both sides and why the North is fighting for what they're fighting for and why the Union is fighting for what they're fighting for. And they all have their own reasons, and all of their reasons are like fine and acceptable reasons. Like, you kind of root for everyone at some point. And what that does, the outcome is always very murky, and you never know which side is going to get the upper hand, and you don't really care. Like, either way, you would be happy for the side that wins and upset for the side that loses. And because there's characters on both sides that I liked, that I wanted to win. Like Calder, I thought was a great character. I really enjoyed his kind of double crossing and stuff that he was doing, and he was a very interesting character. And his arc He's one of the only characters that actually has like a traditional kind of arc where he kind of changes from the beginning of the book to the end of the book. Most characters are in the place that they're in. They go through this whole battle, and they end up right where they started. And that's an interesting part about this book too. Is like it doesn't glorify war in any way. It doesn't show people having profound changes in their personality or like becoming better people because of the things that they experienced or anything like that. It pretty much just it's this battle shows people who they already are. It brings out who they are, and and that's a really interesting way to think about war and how that changes people. Now, the Union and the North have been at war for quite some time. I think it's like this is set maybe like 9 years after the events of the First Law trilogy, and so they've pretty much been at war that whole time. Now, this is kind of the decisive battle, right? The thing about that is the most interesting is like there's no real gain for anybody for this. Like this is just some meaningless little spot, little dot on the map that no one really gives a shit about, that like it doesn't really matter, but like all these people are dying for this little thing. And the thing, little spoiler here, at the end of the book, the whole battle doesn't even matter. They could have resolved it without fighting at all. But that's not how this works. They had to have a battle. And in fact, there was one point where they were going to stop and they were going to have peace talks, and a certain character was like, no, let's just go, let's fight one more day and try to improve our situation. And if we can go one more day, then we can have the peace talks. And in that one day, nothing really changed. They didn't really improve anything. They just, a bunch more people died. Like, a bunch more people died for nothing. Like I said, it's very anti-war. Like, it doesn't glorify war in any way. It shows how horrible it is for both sides and how individuals in that war suffer horribly. Nothing really gets resolved. Like, it just makes, I don't know, it's all this political maneuvering that the king, like, oh, let's fight this war at the king's pleasure because he is 1,000 miles away and giving us orders, and so we have to do what he says. But it's like it's a very kind of cynical view of war and how war works, and that it's really only around to benefit the rich and the powerful, which, you know, is probably true to some extent. But then the people who are actually fighting the war are the ones that have to deal with all of the suffering and the madness and the chaos. But yeah, it's a very good book. I'm not going to say too much specifically about what goes on, because I think it's better if you don't really know much. But like I said, I will say a couple of standout characters. I'll just point out a couple of my favorite characters. Bremer Dangorst, awesome. Finri is an awesome character. I'm not even going to tell you who she is. This is a girl. She's great. I really liked Wonderful. I thought she was interesting. I liked Calder. I liked Black Dow as a character. I didn't really like him as a person. We know him from the previous books, and he's kind of a bastard. But he's cool. I love Carl Shivers. I think he's a great character. I loved him in Best Served Cold. He just has gotten darker and darker and more sinister and horrible as the series has gone on. And in fact, even like in the First Law trilogy, he's like kind of funny and cool. And now he's gotten to be just like so brooding and, I don't know, scary. He's awesome. Wyron of Bly, love that guy. He's awesome. He's pretty cool. He does a lot of funny things. And Colonel Tully, or Corporal Tully? What was his name? Hold on. Corporal Tunney. He's an awesome character, and he's not a character from one of the previous novels. He's just a veteran. He's been in the Union Army for forever. He's never really been promoted. He's just a grunt. And he is awesome. He is like the from the long-term soldier's perspective. He understands like why it's all meaningless and stupid, why you need to look out for yourself and not give a shit about what your commanding officers are telling you, because they're stupid and full of pride and will get you killed. He kind of like grooms these like younger, like less seasoned soldiers, which is just very, very, very nice. I really liked his character. And all of the scenes that he's in I liked. So I will give this book, I gave it a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. I don't know if I liked it quite as much as I liked Best Served Cold. But I did really enjoy it. So take that how you will. I'm going to read Red Country here pretty soon. It might take me a little while to get to it because I got a couple other books that I'm working on. Please like this video and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Like I said, I'm going to continue reading the rest of the series. I want to get caught up through the I'm going to read Red Country, then I'm going to read whatever the first 2 books in the Age of Madness, his other trilogy. And then before the final book in the Age of Madness comes out, it's supposed to come out I think in September, so I've got a little while. I'm gonna get caught up before that, and then I'll read that when it comes out, which is great. Please leave a comment if you have any other thoughts on this, or if you agree or disagree with me, or if you've read other books that you think I might like. Just put it down in the comments. That'd be great. So thanks for watching the review. Really appreciate it. So have a nice weekend. I'll see you guys later. Peace.